back to another episode of Over the Glass. I am your host, Jey.
I'm Nessa, coming in from my
And,
childhood home.
right. So, way more fashionable than my continued background of my kitchen. Uh, so I guess we got to start out by saying, unfortunately, we had to reschedule with Kurtis. He is at the mercy of the airports right now, and his return flight to Toronto has been horribly delayed. I think he's still at the airport.
Yeah.
And
He said he got delayed at least 4 times.
yeah, so I mean, thankfully, Kurtis is very transparent with us, and we worked on the back end to kind of get this rescheduled for next Saturday. So in the meantime, you all get a last minute chalked up episode, and me and Nessa are just gonna kind of roll with it. It's gonna be purely vibes.
Nah, this is so professional right now. We got this.
So let's see, what do we got on our plate? So I guess we can start out by talking about what's been going on with the Sharks in the last week or so. There's some chatter about Reimer might be on the move,
For a
supposedly.
second round pick.
Right. Which, sure, yeah.
I like it.
Yeah. Whether we're gonna get a second round pick, how desperate it's so late in the off season now. How desperate are people, looking for goalies? Like one of the things I saw brought up by some folks is pointing towards Vegas, and my initial reaction was hell no.
Pass.
Hell no. That would make this upcoming season exponentially worse going into it. There's no way I want to see him in that uniform. I don't even know if a second round pick could be worth well then again, I mean, next draft is going to be super deep.
Yeah.
If it happens, yeah. I guess I'm just gonna have to suffer through it, but my initial reaction is like, please God, please no.
Yeah, I can't even think of another team that may actually need a... Reimer is probably considered a backup goalie, right?
Right.
I don't know. Are the Oilers still looking?
Maybe. I did see that Shang had put up an article chatting with some other folks, with a couple of different teams that might still need someone as the backup. For the Oilers, they might be, unless they feel that Stuart Skinner, who played a handful of games last season, I mean, he looked pretty decent. I mean, that team defense was just horrendous. So having a young guy come in and more or less holding the fort down, that I don't know. I don't know if he's ready to take up that backup position, but I guess maybe. Then there's
I don't know.
also...
I still don't know if I'd like him in an Oilers jersey either.
That's true, but I think I would like him. I would prefer him in an Oilers jersey than Vegas.
Vegas, yeah, for sure.
I think the Minnesota Wild might be looking for a backup because of Cam Talbot going to the Leafs.
Oh yeah.
And then who does?
Because they traded Kakkonen.
Yeah. Well, that made sense until whatever the heck went wrong when they decided to also sign Fleury, and I don't know what's going on with all that, but it just resorted in Talbot just heading out.
Deuces.
Yeah, that was unexpected.
I forgot where he landed.
He's with the Leafs.
Oh, right.
And then what's his bucket? Campbell went to the Oilers.
Right.
So yeah. So yeah, I
So the
think.
Oilers already have their tandem.
Well, no, because Campbell will be. Because
Do they still
well, I
have
mean,
Smith?
unless they sign Smith again. Is it Smith, right? The other dude left. He signed with the European League, so they had no goalies.
So they only have Campbell right now.
Yeah, they have Campbell, as far as I know. I can't think of who they might have gotten already, but yeah, I think
What
the
about the
Leafs are.
Canucks?
The
Because I know they have
Canucks.
Demko starter. I don't know who their backup is.
That
I wouldn't mind him
was.
in a Canucks jersey. I could go watch him.
I mean, it was definitely someone that wasn't exactly, a young up and coming who would, be his successor. I think it was just some guy who played a couple of games every now and again to give Demko a break. Um, I don't know. I think I saw on the list that the Flyers might be looking for a goaltender. They no longer have Jones. Jones is over with the Kraken. I don't know what that's all about. I don't know
I
what
don't
they're
know. I'm
doing over
happy for him.
there. You're happy for him?
I'm happy for Jones that he keeps getting work.
But that's the thing. They already have Grubauer, and then they have
Dreed.
yeah.
Well,
So I don't
Dreger
know
or
what.
Dreedger? I don't know.
I think it's Drieger.
Okay.
So I mean, we're in a situation where we don't even know what we're doing with our goalies, but the the move for Jones to go over to the Kraken, um, I don't know.
I think one of the Kraken's goalies might still be on IR when the season starts, and that's probably why they have Jones as insurance.
Nope. Neither
Really?
one of them are on IR.
I don't know.
They've
Then.
got 3 goalies that, as far as cap friendly says, are healthy.
Just like us.
And you know what? So Drieger is so he comes into this. Oh no, that doesn't make too much sense. I thought if Drieger had 1 year left on his contract, maybe they would consider moving him if they don't get anywhere this season, and then Jones would just be. I mean, obviously Grubauer is. I mean, for how much they're paying him, and for the years that they've of his contract, it would make more sense that he's the number one, and then, you know, so I don't know, but all 3 of them, neither one of them is on IR. The only person who's on IR is Tanev. So, who
Maybe
knows?
Jones will go in for Tanev.
Yeah, okay. Um, so, okay, yeah, Reimer potentially on the move. Everything feels so delayed this season.
Yeah, it's a really slow off season.
I mean, if we can manage to get a pretty good return for him, like, sure. There's some chatter about Hill maybe being on the move, but we haven't seen that guy since, what, April?
Yeah.
Like,
It's funny because I skimmed through one of Shang's articles and he had mentioned that the Sharks could be open to trading him to Arizona, so just trading him back. Can we
that
get
is so sad.
right? Get
That
our second round draft pick back?
I feel like, I mean, obviously I don't have any hard feelings towards Hill. It's just it was really unfortunate last season when, they were both getting injured, and then for whatever reason Hill couldn't come back, and then the few games that we did see him, homie needed to stay in the crease. He needed to stop adventuring out so much. It was making me very anxious. I wanted him to go back into the crease. So, but yeah, no hard feelings towards him. And if he ends up getting traded, that would be really sad if he goes back to Arizona. But I think they also need a goalie too. So, at the end of the day, it's business, right?
Yeah. Okay, bad news. Poor Knyzhov got injured again.
That
We were very
poor,
upset
poor
about it
boy.
because we were stoked for him to come back into the season, make a name for himself. Now he has to wait again. Maybe he'll have a redemption arc like Klay Thompson did for the Warriors. He'll come back stronger than ever and just kill it.
I feel like this is karma for me laughing about what's his bucket with the Canes.
Oh, Pacioretty.
I feel like this is karma for me laughing about it.
Thanks. This is all your fault, Jay. You caused this injury to this poor kid.
Because it's the same thing, right? It's the same injury.
I think so. Wow, that's weird.
Yeah, I think it's the same injury. Yeah, poor guy. I was really looking forward to him coming back this season, and now that he's going to be out for more or less the entire season, right? I think it was 6 months or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, my initial reaction was, does Middleton want to come back? Because obviously he was the most marketable pending UFA for our defenseman, so it made sense that we moved him during the trade deadline. And we have all these up and coming guys, and it looked like Knyzhov was going to be. They wanted him last season, and he was injured. So, but now that he's not going to be able to play, it just makes me feel less
excited,
like
hopeful. I don't know.
We're like the defense was something I wasn't worried about, and now I'm worried about that.
Yeah, because we got 2 new guys coming in, and we don't really know how they play. We won't know until we see them.
And then we traded Burns, so Knyzhov looked like he was going to be someone reliable who we could stick in there and be a solid. Whether he was paired with the veteran or he was holding down the third D pair. Now just was the one thing I wasn't worried about, and now I'm worried about it.
We gotta, what do you call it? Just be hopeful that Carlson has another comeback season, because he was playing better last year for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And then Ferraro can improve enough to convince fans that he's good enough to be on the second pair at least.
Oh, I think he'll be on the second pair. I don't think I want him paired with Erik Karlsson, especially after he talked about for the upcoming season things that he wanted to improve on, and then bring an extra element to his game, especially now that Burns is gone. And one of those things was being more offensively minded, jumping more into the play. And I don't think he's going to be able to do that if he's paired with Karlsson, because Karlsson is
right.
Yeah, can't have both those dudes. You know what I'm saying? Or
jumping into the play.
yeah, or if you do, I don't know. I feel that Erik Karlsson will probably take more of the firepower spotlight, so the dynamic wouldn't be balanced, and Farrar wouldn't be able to take that next step. So whoever he gets paired up with on the second line, oh, that's hard, because even Merkley's in that mindset where he wants to jump into the play. So
yeah,
would you
but
put him on the third
there's no
pair?
guarantee that there's no guarantee Merkley's gonna make it on the Sharks right out of the
I think he's at the point where I think he's gonna start with the Sharks, and he's probably gonna have more time up there
because of the 2 new dudes that we have that Greer signed, right? There's Nudivara and I forgot the other guy.
Are they older defensemen?
I think so. I think they're signed one-way contracts, so I don't think they'll be able to go to the Cuda. And then you got Karlsson, Vlasic, Ferraro. It's 5. Who's the
Well,
last one?
so Carlson would probably get paired with Vlasic, and
They
then
didn't
maybe
really work well together.
I thought you said they did.
No, Vlasic was working well with Merkley.
Oh, okay. So then pair Vlasic with Merkley, and then Ferraro can get paired with one of the veteran guys. Because I mean, the names that you mentioned, I can't imagine that they're particularly known for jumping into the play and producing and stuff like that. So someone who is a reliable defenseman could probably get paired with Ferraro, and then if the other guy is signed as a one way, then slot him in with Carlson.
So
Because
do
then
we
I think the
that
only other person we
Shimmick?
have left. Oh right, I forgot about him.
We're gonna trade him?
um, Something needs to happen with Shimmick.
This poor guy too. He's very unhappy at the moment. I feel so bad. It's not
Yeah,
like it's
I
my
mean,
fault.
last season was unfortunate for everybody on defense because we had just the bottleneck, and obviously you're gonna give our 3 anchors of long-term contracts ice time. So that already takes up the 3 slots, and then you had Ferraro, and then you had Merkley, and then you had the 1 slot available for 3 to 4 defensemen.
Oh, because there's also Magna too.
Yes. So he's probably the 7th defenseman.
Interesting. I don't know.
So I think
I hope
Yeah, I
Shimmick gets
think
traded. So he gets playing time on a different team.
let's see the contract.
Yeah, his contract's a little up there.
See, that's the problem. But you know what? I can see that happening probably this season. We would probably need to do some negotiating. But given that he's got the 2 years left, that kind of gives the team something to play around with if they want to see what he can do before they sign him versus getting I mean, obviously he wouldn't. He could be a rental, but he could also be a potential, just solid defenseman if some team wants to sign him long term. So, it could happen during the trade deadline.
For his sake, I hope so.
For our sake too.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't need all of these guys we've got majority of our defensemen are on the higher end of their 20s. Yeah. Like if we're trying to, in the next couple of seasons become competitive and bring in, I mean, obviously I would love to have more of our Barracuda come up instead of getting back into a situation where we keep trading all these assets and all of our young guys because we're trying to get back into the cup race. I don't imagine we're going to be there in the next couple of years, so let's not hold on to all these guys who they're not going to get us necessarily single-handedly over the hump.
Right. I am kind of sad that I won't be able to go out to games this season, probably. I still don't know what's going on with my contract, but I want to go to a Cuda game because that team looks like it's going to be fun to watch.
That stadium looks amazing.
Looks so good.
I haven't been back out in that area, but I mean, obviously, since that's where the league I play in is at, I'm fairly familiar with the area.
You play at Shark's Ice?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I guess that makes sense.
So I don't even want to think about the parking there. I mean, it was fine during. Generally it was fine, but I know that a lot of it has now been
I thought they were
taken
gonna
up.
put in like a parking garage there because they were making this.
Well, think about it from the perspective of going over there to play. Now it requires more leg work to get to the rink. Now that you're putting it, now you're requiring everybody to go in a parking garage.
Mm-hmm.
Before, I used to just be able to park right outside the entrance of whatever rink that I was going to go play at. But now that all that space was needed for the arena, I mean, yes, it's good that they're replacing the parking, but we'll see. We'll see. So new coaching staff. We've got another assistant coach who's going to be in charge of the power play. We've got a goalie coach and then a video coach.
I haven't really looked into much on this because we weren't planning to do this, but I really liked one of the quotes that was highlighted from him, where he said something about how the power play is only supposed to be predictable to your teammates, not to your opponent.
Yeah, so that would be Scott Gordon, and I looked up a little bit about him. He mostly, I mean, he spent time as a internment coach for the Flyers when. Yeah, so he spent a little bit as a internment head coach for the Flyers around the 2018-2019 season when Dave Haxall got fired, and then they hired Alain Vigneault, and then Scott Gordon went back down to the Lehigh Valley Phantoms, and so he was there for 2015 to 2021 as their head coach. I took a look at their numbers. I mean, they're kind of mostly in the middle of the pack. They weren't exactly, leading the charge or anything like that. So that was actually something that I thought would be nice for next week when we do get to talk to Kurtis, because he spent one season with the Phantoms.
Yeah.
So
just to get his perspective on it.
Yeah, so it'd be kind of nice to maybe he can make us feel good about this guy. So he's coming in as assistant coach. I love. Go ahead.
Sorry, I was just gonna say I feel like Kurtis isn't gonna talk badly about anyone. Like he's gonna.
No, I don't expect him to, but it'd be nice to just, because I wasn't able to really find anything, So all I'm going off of is just, do you win? Do you win? Because that's important. But it'd just be fun to chat about it, and get folks excited. I find it amusing that Scott Gordon and Jordan Spear were both goaltenders when in their playing years. So we got more goalies.
Of course, more goalies. And one of them, I can't remember which one, but one of them is actually, I can't remember if all except for maybe Gialdini, including Warsawski, are from Massachusetts.
Oh, I'm not familiar with that, but that'd be funny.
I was just a little bit that I read on them. Oh, this person's from so and so Massachusetts. This person is from so and so Massachusetts. Mm-hmm. It's like, what is with this Massachusetts connection?
Yeah. So then, Jordan Spear is coming in as the goalie coach, and I kind of was looking at his resume. He spent 2013 through 2014 season through 2019 to 2020 season with the Allen Americans. Let's see there. And so they were pretty successful. They got the Kelly Cup 2 seasons while he was there. They made the conference finals a number of times. So, and then I was looking at one goalie in particular that was coached under him, not too long, but the last 2 seasons, and Dustin Wolf, who was drafted in the 7th round, and their team was pretty competitive, and his save percentage is quite nice. So I don't know, sounds kind of fun. Um, and then finally, Nick. Oh gosh,
Gialdini.
I'm gonna butcher this last name. Giladini. He's
I would
gonna
say
be
G. It looks
G.
Italian.
I don't know. Ask your girlfriend.
Honestly, she doesn't speak. She doesn't speak Italian.
Well,
I'm gonna say Gialdini.
okay.
I'm
That
learning.
sounds
I'm learning Italian on Duolingo.
okay. Um, what I thought was really fun is Shang had tweeted that he's a local kid. He went to Santa Clara High School. He went to my alma mater, San Jose State. And and then Sharks Ice also tweeted that he was a coach for the San Jose Junior Sharks for a little bit. So
Yep, and he worked his way up. That's really
warms
cool.
my heart. Hometown
I'm
boy.
rooting for you, kid. Oh, I don't know how old he is. He's probably older than me.
Yes, he is. Um, Jordan Spear and Nick are both in their mid 30s, and then so yeah, we got a couple more young dudes.
Wait, so what if you went to school with Nick at San Jose State?
Well, I definitely don't remember Nick, so we were on campus probably around the same time. Um, so yeah, kind of fun.
That is cool. That makes me excited. Happy. I don't know. Positive vibes. Are you ready? I have questions for you.
Sure. Okay.
Since we're not doing an interview with Kurtis, we're
You
going
get
to ask
me.
an amateur hockey player. Okay, so I am still learning things about you and your life because we've barely met not too long ago, and it's not like we've shared life stories with each other or anything. So I just learned today that you played hockey overseas, and so tell the audience a little about your experience in playing in Germany. Did you only play in Germany?
So yeah, I was working out in Germany for a couple of years, and I had gotten back into hockey just a couple of seasons before I moved out there. So of course I was immediately, I need to find a league out here. So I primarily played in Germany. The league that I was in was based in there, so we had a practice rink. I thought was the coolest thing ever. Like, oh, so beer league out here, the Sharks Ice, you don't get practices. You find your time to work on it, or you work on it during the game. We're not. I mean that facility is so packed with there's almost, you can almost never get any ice time that isn't already pre-scheduled for leagues or for pickup and stuff like that. I remember hearing that the rink is only closed for about 5 hours just to clean up and all this stuff before they have all the private lessons that come in and blah blah blah. So it's just like clockwork out there. But so to join a team who had ice, like practice ice time, I thought I was like, oh, I'm so special.
This is how it feels to be professional.
Oh, I'm so professional. Yeah, so there was a practice rink that we would go to, and it was once a week. It was about 45 minutes from where I lived, and um, this was when I was about 10 years younger. So I had tons of energy and could live off of 4 to 5 hours of sleep because I would get off of work, and then in order to juggle work and playing, I would take a nap when I'd go home. And then I would go to the practice rink because I think we practice at like 9 or 10. And then I'd have to drive 45 minutes back, and then I had work at 6 o'clock in the morning. So I would do that once a week, and then we'd have a game typically once a week, like usually on the weekend, because I remember that rink that we would play at was like an hour, an hour and 15 minutes away. So I was definitely dedicated to playing. um, so that was a lot of fun. The the on ice behavior is a lot different over here when I would play in my mixed league. Guys are guys are getting up in each other's faces, thinking they said something about their mom or about they're very
Yeah.
ooh, this and that whatever over there, and over in Germany more times than not. So the team that I play on was majority Americans, and so I was always a little embarrassed when they would stir up something, and the Germans are, what is, calm down, man. Like, oh God, we're those guys. We're those guys. But so, but playing out over there was the first time that I played in rinks that weren't really year round. The facilities, over here they have all of the stuff to keep the ice cool in the arena and stuff like that. But over there, they use the environment on the outside to keep the facility cool, and then the ice. So yeah, I got to play majority in Germany, in like the western part of it. We went down to Strasbourg in France for a weekend, and we did a friendly with a French team down there. And then I also got the opportunity to play in a tournament up in the Netherlands for a weekend. We got knocked out really early, so it wasn't that great. But the team I played on had three levels, so we had three different teams that went out there. The team that was considered, our elite team, many of them were moving on to different jobs and stuff like that, and that team had been together for a while, so this was like their last hurrah. They would go all the way to the finals and then lose because the night before they all went out to party. And then they showed up for the finals just hungover. So
That went well.
yeah, we're like, come on, dudes, really? You just could wait until after you win. I mean, not to say that they would have won, but obviously their chances were severely hurt by them being hungover. But I had my first experience out there where somebody became a fan of me. One of the games that we were out there playing a game, and after the game, someone came to the locker room. One of my teammates went over to see what that was all about, and then they were asking for me. And of course, I'm thinking, what? I don't know anybody out here. I don't know any Dutch people. And I go out there, and it's an Asian woman, like,
Oh,
fairly young, maybe around my age at the time. She was the scorekeeper during the game, and I guess maybe she had seen my name or had seen me through all of like the gear. And I guess that was a surprise to her. Maybe like she had never seen an Asian person playing hockey or one right there in front of her, and she just wanted to give me a hug.
that's so cute.
And I was like, oh, yeah, okay. So, yeah. And then, of course, my team was like, oh, Jay's got an admirer. So, yeah, that's my experience being out in Europe.
Oh, that's cute. I like that
Yeah.
story. Did you play what position did you play out there?
So, I started out playing as right wing. I feel like that's just kind of a default position when you're starting out for You don't really know where you want to play yet. Um, so I played wing for a couple of seasons, mostly during the time that I was out there. And then when I moved back to California, I joined another team out here over at Sharks Ice. And the captain, first day, was asking me, "Oh, yeah, so what positions do you want to play?" And I didn't want to be that person that was not going to be flexible and all that stuff. And I told him, "Oh, I'll play any forward position. It's fine." So then he penciled me in to play center, and I was saying I have never played center before. I'm like, crap. Okay, I guess I'm gonna have to figure out how to play center. Um, Center, I just feel like has more responsibility. At least from a beer league perspective, you kind of your primary focus is the middle of the ice, and then you're kind of almost the third defenseman. So you're, at least from my perspective, I feel like it forced me to learn more about the game, because I had to know, okay, now that the puck is here, I mean, obviously everybody needs to shift to the play and how you can create an opening and stuff like that. But with center, I felt that it was constantly, do I come in here? Do I back up and help the defense? But it more thinking than what I had to do when I was playing wing. I felt that wing was always more, you're waiting for the one other thing to happen before you react to something, versus when, in my perspective, when I started playing center, I felt that I was always having to make that first move to get the play going, if that makes any sense. So
Not at all. Can you explain that better, please?
Yeah, okay, let me explain
I'm
that
just
again.
kidding.
So then, I mean, I fell in love with center after that, because it just opened up a whole new world for me with playing. And then a couple of years after that, I decided I wanted to finally try out playing goalie, because that was something that I always wanted to do. It's just the opportunity was never there.
Also, it's expensive, isn't it?
Right. That would be the part that I'm referring to. The opportunity wasn't there because it's an investment. So with all that said, the opportunity never arose until I saw an opportunity at one of our local women's leagues that is dedicated to beginner program. So I was able to go to one of their Give Hockey a Try days. Their the equipment that they loan out for that day are equipment from players already in the league that donated for that day, so you can try it out. And especially for goalies, they kind of try and talk with you in advance so they can pair you up with someone's equipment that's best suited for you. And then that day, my initial thought was, yeah, so I'm just gonna feel it out. I don't know if I'm gonna like it, so we're going with no expectations. Got on the ice. We went through a couple of drills for the first bit of it, and I was already instantly falling in love with it. And then they had a scrimmage at the end where just all the folks that came out for the event just get to play around. So I was able to go through what I wanted to do, was dedicated beginner, and then work my way up and learn all the mechanics of playing in net.
So would you say you prefer goalie over being a skater?
No. I truly can't decide that. I mean, like, even right before the pandemic, I finally decided playing goalie gave me the courage that I needed to decide to play defense. So I love all aspects of every position on the ice because it continues to evolve my love for the game, because every position is an entirely different mindset, especially defense. I had the first couple of games that I was playing, I had to keep telling myself, hang back, because my mentality is go into the play, and I'm like, no, hang back, and everything is reverse. The ice perspective for me was reverse. I had to think defense first, defense, versus when you're playing in net, you don't want to get creative. You want to stick to the system. And I've had this chat with Elena before, and I think she almost gets it now, how I talk about it, because when I tell her that it's a system and, you know, you don't, you want to stick to the system, it sounds boring.
Yeah.
But you want it to be boring, because when it's not boring, that means your team is probably not defending very well. You're probably stuck in your own zone. And when goaltenders make those flashy saves where they go all the way across the crease to grab it out of the air, yeah, it's flashy, it's spectacular, but that means your defense sucked. If your goalie has to go all the way from one end because you're probably scrambling, you're probably tired trying to get it out of the net, and you're basically the goalie's last line of defense has to go all the way from one end of the crease all to the other. You really don't want your goalie to be doing that. You want them to just be following the play, don't screen them, all that stuff. It's a great day when I'm boring. I love boring. It's when it gets too exciting, that's when it gets incredibly frustrating.
I've never played hockey in my life, but anytime I play Chell, I always play as a goalie. It's hard. I mean, I know it's just a video game, but it's a lot harder than playing as a skater. I would assume it's the same in real life.
Oh my
Playing
god,
goalie is harder than skater.
I had this friend a couple of years back. We played the NHL game, and of course, I know what I want to do. It's whether I can translate it to the controller. And he was just one of those guys that would key smash or whatever. I'm actually trying to learn how to play the game, and he's just doing whatever. And he kept scoring all these goals, and he was one of those guys that would like rub it in, and I was starting to get really annoyed and having thoughts of like, oh yeah, let's go to a real rink and I'll show you how it's done.
Oh god.
Oh, but he was pissing me off. He was gloating, and I was not having fun. So, anyways, that's our last minute episode put together. If you stuck through it, we're so happy. We literally only spent a couple hours prior trying to figure out what to talk about.
Curtis was like, I might not be able to make it at this time, and Jay messaged me. I was like, what are we gonna do today? Do you want to do this, and this? And I was like, sure.
We weren't really planning to talk about the Sharks, and we did, and that was fun. And now
Ooh,
everyone gets
I want to show off my jerseys, because I don't know if you can see them in camera. I got warm up. This was my Balsers jersey, which I'm upset he is no longer on the team. Honestly, I really liked following him because his number was 92. Shout out to 92 babies. And then I got this one.
Nice.
Sick. Plus I'm a big Spider-Man fan, if you couldn't tell.
Nice.
Friendly neighborhood Sharks fans.
Alrighty. So, next week, we will have Curtis bearing any surprise things that get in the way, but he said he would be staying put.
He said locked in.
So hopefully he doesn't get locked out of his house or something like that.
Just do it from his phone.
Yeah. We will find a way to get Curtis on the show. It will happen. We are hoping it will be next week. So thanks for tuning in for another episode of Over the Glass, and I am your host, Jay.
I'm a co-host, Nessa. Thanks for joining us. We appreciate you watching. Please comment. No. Please subscribe or follow wherever you listen to, because we are trying to grow the channel, and it helps tell people, even if you don't listen to the full episode, just tell people to like skim through. I don't care. We're just trying to grow.
Spread the word. We appreciate everybody. And we'll see you in the next episode.
Thanks, guys. Bye.